Graves, and I'm here to give information about why outreach resource programs are needed in the St. Louis Public School District. Some of the reasons why there is great need for educational opportunity programs in the St. Louis Public School District is because of the severe financial difficulties. As we all aware, our administration continues to make great cuts in education, and unfortunately, because of how certain counties and city ordinances are, there isn't a lot of money that can be allocated for such schools in those areas. Because of that, there are several programs of which are cut from public schools. Public schools have a high concentration of disadvantaged and minority youth. 96.5 of them are African Americans, and it's important to know that African Americans have benchmark scores that are severely low in biology, algebra, English, composition, and this is more so than any other racial group. Unfortunately, in urban education, there are many factors that affect student performance and student success. Some of these factors are lack of goal clarity, decreased motivation, disorganized thinking, mood dysregulation due to socioeconomic disadvantage like poverty and staying in poverty-stricken areas, financial distress, and relationship problems. With all of these issues, it's very hard for students to stay focused and have great attention spans. As they continue to have these disadvantages, it makes them withdraw from certain situations, which increases the rate of course dropout.
To help support the claim for needing more outreach programs in the St. Louis Public School District, we have to take a further look into the evidence and also the ethics. An interesting article by Barans, Russo, and Brenner state that ethics is the moral reason that is used to create laws and regulations. However, as I've learned throughout my coursework here in this class and also throughout the program, our system is continuously needing improvement. So laws that may have been initially created to help students and to allow them to have a standard form of education and learning have actually been shown to hinder the progression of students in urban education, because these laws don't necessarily take into account the socioeconomic disparities of these students. To better understand why outreach programming is needed in the St. Louis Public School District, an organizational dynamic practitioner could utilize the resource dependency theory. This theory identifies resources and talents that are currently within the educational organization's team. These talents may be hidden in teachers and coaches and even supporting staff, and it also allows them the chance to utilize their skills. This tactic is low cost and can be implemented in any educational team to enhance the culture of the organization. A positive culture yields a positive environment, which allows students to have something that is better reflective of their environment, and it also allows students to be more motivated and more inclined with their educational progress. This theory enhances internal partnerships and collaborations among educators to increase the connection to academic and social resources which aid in the educational development of students. Another great tool an OD practitioner in urban education can use is organic design. This tool has great focus on collaborative teamwork, horizontal communication, and empowered roles. With this tool, organizations are much looser and free-flowing and adaptive. This would allow them to be able to handle conflict on a much quicker and easier basis. This tool can be used to create and maintain resource and outreach teams. These teams would be the vital teams that you will use to create the educational opportunity programs for students. All that's required within this design is an open mind frame and an encouraging culture. And with this, SLPS would be able to remain adaptable and flexible with their students and their needs. Lastly, we must discuss the role of the OD practitioner in the St. Louis Public School District. Here are some steps that the practitioner could use with implementing these opportunity outreach programs. The first step is to consider how external factors, such as the limitation of students' learning abilities and socioeconomic disadvantages, hinder the formulation and development of educational outreach programs. With this, one must consider a student's individual learning style and create realistic goals and expectations for that student so that that student and that educator can work towards progress. Now, with the socioeconomic factors, these are factors such as students not having adequate meals at home, not having parental support and supervision, having to deal with drug and crime-infested areas, and so forth. How do these issues affect students' ability to focus in an educational system? These are some of the questions that an OD practitioner would need to start thinking of. Step 2, from thinking of questions, an OD practitioner can move to developing ethical strategies that will make educational systems more accommodating for students in urban areas. One great solution that could be done is implementing the use of counselors more than what counselors do. Counselors have caseloads of 180 plus students depending on the size of the school. The Missouri counselor to student ratio is 250 to 1. And with everything that's going on in society, with the cultural trends and the use of social media, there's a great need for students to have someone that they can count on, that they can talk to, that they can open up with, so that they can surpass the issues that they have from the urban environments in which they live in. Once this is established and you begin to create these programs that allow students to have resources such as daycare for their children if they have children, resources that will help them to get food to go home for them and their families, and other resources that may be able to work more with parents so that students can focus more on academics. Once these programs have been established, an OD practitioner will move to step 3 to create processes that measure progress and evaluate the current processes so that better strategies can be developed in the future. Inevitably, an organization's dynamics must be reflective of its culture, core values, strategy, mission, and vision. This is important so that the organization is aligned with what it is that they are trying to do. One of the roles of an OD practitioner would be to create an environment that encourages continuous quality improvement, provides clarity of principles, and promotes efforts of engagement. This will help the organization to make sure that its dynamics are reflective of the things that were mentioned previously. By doing extensive research, an practitioner can study the current educational plans of St. Louis Public School District and the requirements of federal and state departments of education to make sure that their projections and statistics are favorable to underrepresented students. This would require a practitioner to have good relationships with officials in the schools, like the principals, even right down to secretaries, and also have good connections with the superintendents and the district's higher ups, like the board of directors as well. From this presentation, I feel like I can do more in my work environment. I feel that as an aspiring OD practitioner in urban education, I can ask questions that are outside of my norms to get a better understanding of what the bigger picture is, which is creating solutions to meet the needs of students who are in poor economic environments. One way is to monitor and measure the organizational dynamics of SLPS attainability, time sensitivity, their rigidness and flexibility, in hopes of cultivating valid educational outreach programming. So we have to understand the organization and what they are used to. What are their statistics with retention and college going rates? What time frames do they use to measure their attainability? And how flexible is the organization, or is the organization too tight? These things would be able to help the OD practitioner understand how change will go, and if there will be resistance or barriers going forth with that organization and its employees. The peer review that I had was outstanding, and it gave an outside perspective on how I can better correlate information and ideas. One thing that I try to do is make sure that my cognitive biases don't interrupt my flow of obtaining information. So just because I have a strong idea, I've learned that even that can create a confirmational bias, so that when I go to seek information, I'm seeking information that supports my claims instead of seeking information that would make it a strong argument type of claim. I think that a practitioner in this field would require a great understanding of organizational dynamics within the St. Louis Public School District and how it applies to being an authentic leader. And this concludes my presentation. Here are the references that I use for evidence and research purposes. Further references with the information. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for taking the time to view my research project. I hope everyone has had a wonderful class experience, and I thank you all so much for the opportunity to learn with you. Have an awesome semester.